So James Gunn the other day, when asked if he was receiving any encouraging updates about Matt Reeves' The Batman Part 2, said yes, which was pretty nice to hear because we've been starving for some news. And yesterday we got some. We got a huge update on the status of the film, and for those who missed it, essentially the Wrap reported that Reeves is expecting to turn in his first draft of the film by Memorial Day, which is a huge sigh of relief and a much needed update for the fans. And for those not familiar with the way Matt Reeves writes his scripts, he doesn't turn in multiple drafts of a screenplay. He turns in one draft, and that one draft is his final draft. So saying that he's expected to turn it in a couple weeks basically implies that he's very, very close to finalizing the script and getting pre production on the ground. And in the same article, the Wrap also said that Matt has been sending pages to DC for over half a year now, which is probably the encouraging updates that Gunn has been getting, and as I said earlier. And as many of you may be aware of, there's been these rumors circulating online over the past few months concerning a personal issue with Matt Reeves' personal life. But he had already said this back in January during the Golden Globes, where he in his own words said, and I quote, "There's been a lot going on in my life in the last year or so," which is a big reason why the film was delayed, one could assume. But if he's been sending pages to probably as far back as November, and since he seemed like he's been in good spirits during public appearances, during the Golden Globes, and during the director on director episode with Zoe Kravitz, I really think he's finalizing the script and getting it all done. He's touching it up and getting it ready to go to DC and greenlighting the project for good and starting production. But I totally get the concerns. It's been delayed a couple times now, and there's so many factors as to why though, because it's not like he's been writing the film for 3 years straight with little to no progress. Matt is a very, very careful writer. The guy likes to take his sweet time, and as he should. Great films take time, and I'm so glad that James Gunn is the CEO of this because it's so crucial to have a filmmaker's perspective as an executive because he's giving Matt Reeves all the time in the world he needs to make this film. Because I feel like older Warner Bros. They would have just rushed it and put out a very rushed film. They would have gotten somebody else to help him write the script, and it would have not been his vision. But James Gunn being here really just gives that protection for the filmmakers. And another thing that Matt Reeves had to deal with is the writer's strike, which was about 5 months. And for anybody who's tried to write anything before, especially a screenplay, a 5 month long pause can really disrupt flow, rhythm, and just concentration. And he also had to deal with this false plagiarism court case, which was about 18 months. And that's not something that's like taking up all your time, but it's definitely a little nagging thing. And of course, that was proven to be wrong. And Matt Reeves won that whole court case with Warner Bros. So thankfully that was put away. But that was, like I said, 18 months. It was a while. But not only has James Gunn been receiving pages, but Robert Pattinson, Serkis, and Colin Farrell have all read pieces of the script, so they know a good amount of the. I wouldn't say a good amount, but they know pieces of the story. Maybe they've read more ever since they last talked about it. And if the script is being finalized in just a couple weeks, then that perfectly sets up pre-production very soon. Casting could begin around July with more updates about or around August, early fall, and that aims for a very early 2026 shoot because I don't believe the end of the year target date that Matt Reeves said earlier in the year is really necessary or very, like needed because I think they have all of 2026 to shoot the film and then 10 months of 2027 to do post, and even then in 2026 they didn't really only need about 6 months to shoot the film, which is plenty of time. That would give them about 16 months of post production, which is so much time. I don't think that end of the year date is necessarily something that is um very like absolutely must do it, because there's also concerns with Robert Pattinson's availability with Dune Messiah. But for one, he hasn't signed on officially yet, but I really hope he does. Dune Messiah with Pattinson and Chalamet has the potential to be an all timer like Part 2 was. And another film on his schedule for the fall is a Netflix film, so he's booked. But again, Part 2 for the Batman doesn't need to film this year. It just doesn't. They have all of 2026 to shoot. 10 months of 2027 to continue to touch up. And also relating back to the Dune casting, if it's ends up being true and he actually signs on, we got to use our head here, guys. Why would Warner Bros, who's distributing both of these films, basically block the star actor for one of their films to go do another one of their films that does not need him? It just makes no sense. It makes absolutely zero sense. I just don't even understand why that was something that was making people panic. It just it just takes 2 seconds of critical thinking, in my opinion. But to each their own. And P.S. Matt Reeves using a few Batman emojis on his birthday gave me some confidence. I don't care if I'm reaching, but it was just like I had a little smirk. I thought it was I was like, okay, no, he's cooking, he's cooking. But I just felt like I needed to make this video because people on social media, on Twitter, on Instagram, were fear mongering the hell out of people for this film, and I don't blame them because due to the lack of updates, it kind of seems that way. But we have to remember, as fans, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. It's so pointless to panic before anything official is stated. And in this situation, people have been panicking, but the whole time, Matt Reeves has been giving pages of the script to DC, and they've been getting updates consistently for the past half year. So it's so pointless to panic, and I don't necessarily care for these people who kind of do misleading headlines. But even when I go on something like Instagram and I see a post that came out yesterday saying, "Okay, it's being turned in, and by Memorial Day, people are like in the comments, "Oh, I thought it was canceled. I thought it was canned. I thought Matt Reeves left." Because these fake sources and these unreliable sources really do trick people, especially the more casual audience. So I just wanted to make this video because there's really nothing to be concerned about, in my opinion. The whole year delay back in December was obviously a very big punch in the gut to the fans, but that was the last delay that gave Matt Reeves so much time to make this film and basically give him all this cushion. And with that being said, I hope I was able to ease any doubts, any concerns with this film, because all that matters at the end of the day is that Matt Reeves is okay and his film is being given all the time it needs to be made because part two is going to be an absolute masterpiece, just like the first one. I cannot wait for October 27, 2027. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and peace.